Hey, to all of my people from the concrete jungles of the USA, to all of my people from the concrete jungles of the USA. If you have lived and thrived in the concrete jungles of the USA, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag and y'all could do with this information. Y'all could do with this information what you want. I'm simply going to state for the record publicly the truth about my lineage, our heritage, my family's line in the United States of America. On the East Coast, where they claim they had 13 colonies. Understand, if your family came up in the Midwest, in the South, in the West, they make y'all feel like y'all gotta follow the narrative that they give y'all, because they tell y'all that there ain't no you don't have no history here in these lands. But from the 90s, I've been focusing on a billionaire by the name of Robert Kiyosaki, Japanese immigrant. And nobody has studied Robert Kiyosaki and taken Robert Kiyosaki to the concrete jungle. And I have been more successful and more effective in explaining to people from the concrete jungle that if a Japanese foreign indentured servant, meaning his parents was brought over here as slaves, his grandparents was brought over here as paid slaves for Europeans, and if he could look into the oppression and the situation of his grandfather and then go within his community, and he has a rich dad and a poor dad, and he tells you that his poor dad was the father that believed in the traditional educational system of the United States. He was a PhD. His poor dad went to Stanford University. He believed in a 401k. He believed in sending his children, go to school, get an education, get a job. Robert Kiyosaki, since 1997, has been telling the world publicly, Europeans enslaved my people. Europeans created a system where if you was going to come to the United States of America, the Japanese, in order to fall under the favor of the United States, they either had to be indentured servants or join the military. Robert Kiyosaki had to join the military, and he defines his poor dad as his dad that believed in the educational system. So his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, shows you why his dad that believes in the educational system is the poor dad. PhD, everybody in his family, PhD, schools of higher learning, Stanford, dead broke. If a Japanese could come here in the 1800s, if the Japanese at the height of World War II could come here as an immigrant, indentured servant, and sit and analyze his poor dad, giving him all of the terrible advice that people of color who've been here from the door, been abused in the same exact situations, been used, abandoned. Number one, black people. There are no black people, none, who do what Robert Kiyosaki does. None. There are no black people who have ever challenged the economic system, have ever challenged what these clowns teach you after enslaving you. Nobody in the black community has ever had the courage to stand up like Robert Kiyosaki and say the system that enslaved our people. When I looked at what my poor dad was doing, I did everything opposite because I had a rich dad. His rich dad was his best friend was another immigrant that came here and said he was going to go into business. He was going to figure out how, if they're going to bring us to the land of opportunity, and I'm going to come up with a business plan. I'm going to come up in a way to invest in myself and own whatever I put my hands on. So just own it. Just own it you. Just own it you is the 30-year track record of when we left college. I jumped in an organization called Break the Cycle. And this is a hands-on organization where we would go all over the country, not just in Break the Cycle. I was in a group called Alien Nation. I'm in a hip hop group doing what I was doing all through high school. In high school, I was in a performance art group. I was in Pine Forge Academy's choir. People would bring us to their churches, and we wouldn't just go and sing. Pine Forge Academy's choir, we go in there and we testify. We worship with individuals. Yo, the number one recruitment for Pine Forge Academy is the ministry. When we go to these churches and we tell them our story, how we got out of Trenton, the sacrifices that our parents made to send us to the school of the prophets. When we go and we tell our testimony, when we go and we tell our story, when we go and we tell how we, as the big men on campus, mold and shape little shorties that their parents drop off in our care. Ain't no high school people around the country from 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade taking responsibility to train men and crown queens. I've been going around the country since 9th grade. Since the 9th grade with Phase 1, Creative Arts, Pine Forge Academy Choir. Let's not even talk about my father's ministries in his 8 different churches that he ministered in. So when I go into the streets and I say I'm here to break the cycle, I'm making covenants with people. Every time I stood up in front of a group of people and told them that they could break a cycle, I was making a covenant to let them know that I was putting my life on the line from the early 90s to prove to them that if they wanted to break whatever the cycle in their life, I was going to. Just like when parents dropped their sons off at Handy Hall under my care and under my watch at Pine Forge Academy, I went around the country to concrete jungles, telling our people, man, you ain't never been a slave, homie. So just own it, you. I am the #1 researcher, the #1 source for Nubian, Kushite, Diluvian, royal heritage on Earth. I am the #1 source. There is nobody in the country, in the world, who could show you what a Nubian is, who could show you what a Kushite is, who could show you the lands of Kush, the kingdoms of Kush, the heirs to this very day. There's nobody on earth. The reason that nobody on the earth can do it is because black and white folks don't want you to know. You're not a citizen, you're a sovereign. So just on you is to take you and teach everybody who wants to know. Like Robert Kiyosaki was taken by a rich dad. I got a rich dad and a poor dad too. My poor dad is Pastor Frank E. Leggett III. My poor dad is Pastor Frank E. Leggett III. My rich dad is the creator of heaven and earth that they crucified on the cross. My rich dad is the creator of heaven and earth that they crucified 1989 years ago. My poor dad, like Robert Kiyosaki, poor dad, got all of the talent in the world, but put his faith in a system that was created to separate you from the crown that our rich dad died to give you. So just own it is about owning the crown of our rich dad. They separated y'all from our rich dad. They've demoted our rich dad. They said he's just a good man. They said he's just a prophet. No, the rich dad is the King of Kings, the creator of heaven and earth, the Son of God that died on the cross. The Father ain't create nothing. If you don't have that truth right, you don't have no truth right. If you don't understand that the Son of God is the creator of heaven and earth, that the Son of God, if you don't understand that the rich dad, the bridegroom, that you got to own what it is he came to lay down and give you. The worship don't go to the Father. The Father gave the Son an image so that he would receive the worship, and then the Father will be glorified by the Son receiving all of the worship. So just only you. I'm gonna show y'all that the crown has never passed from my family in the United States of America, on the East Coast, New Jersey. I'm gonna show y'all. And I'm gonna show y'all how y'all could join our court. Every king and queen has a court. A court are the individuals who rule along the other kings and queens who rule alongside a king and queen. And when I enter into the gates of the other king and queens who rule with us, I enter into their court. Just owning you is about putting the economic financial system back in place of the sovereign Kushite, Nubian, Queens of Sheba, and lifting the sovereign Nubian, The greatest display of wealth ever in Earth's history is documented in the Word of God with two women, two queens of Sheba. The greatest documented wealth on Earth, when you add up the tributes given by two queens of Sheba, there are no greater documented displays of wealth. And this is what you've gotten separated from. And this is what Just Own It. And I'm going to use Robert Kiyosaki, because if Robert Kiyosaki, a Japanese American immigrant, can resurrect wealth by choosing to listen to a rich dad and ignoring misinformation from a poor dad, and could tap back into wealth, and he's not originally from the United States of America, what can those of us who are the bedrock do? Then the other component of Just Own It is lifesaver games. The only purpose of wealth, the only purpose of having wealth is to distribute wealth. The only purpose of having wealth. That's why the individuals who are in the top 1%, this is why they are imposters, and they can never ever, this fake sham and charade has to come crashing down, because it's built off of faulty quicksand financial principles. So once I establish that we are the heirs of the everlasting financial covenant with heaven, then I'm going to demonstrate with actions a day-to-day game plan. This is what Robert Kiyosaki demonstrated in a game called the Cash Flow Club. So all we did is we customized a cash flow club for concrete jungles. We customized, his rich dad customized his business plan around the island of Hawaii, because that was where Robert Kiyosaki was coming up. That's where the rich dad's son was coming up. That's where the rich dad was making his investments. So his whole business plan and his whole target market and his whole fundamentals came from the environment from which he was using to teach them the principles of building wealth. And we have done the same thing. We're not in Hawaii. We're in the concrete jungles of Trenton, New Jersey. We're in the concrete jungles of Chicago. We're in the concrete jungles of LA. We're in the concrete jungles of Compton. And there is trillions and trillions of dollars being wasted and squandered by individuals who claim that they're impoverished, who claim that they do crime and their back is up against the wall. Listen, man, you're wasting wealth. You're wasting wealth because you've let somebody else define you let somebody else set the prices of, you let somebody else tell you what's valuable, you let somebody else tell you what's beautiful, you let somebody else tell you what's fashion, you let somebody else define. And the first thing you learn from Robert Kiyosaki's book, and I'm gonna focus like a laser on Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Then I'm gonna come out of Hawaii. I'm gonna come out of the Japanese culture. I'm gonna come out of Robert Kiyosaki's lifestyle, and then I'm gonna put it in the hip hop lifestyle for the concrete jungle. This is what I've been doing since 1990, since the mid 90s. I've been translating for our people wealth principles. And so for the last and final time, for my kids' generation, for my kids' generation, and what y'all adults got to understand is, You have a concerted effort by the powers that be that said they are not going to allow your children to own the wealth in the United States of America because they want to keep the status quo going. And as far as me and my house is concerned, the sacrifices that I was willing to make and the things that I was willing to go without in my generation, I did it so that my children wouldn't have to go without nothing. So if you think that I'm about to allow powers that be and systems and financial systems and all of that to make my children and my grandchildren's financial outlook mirror anything close to what Black people accept, to what the school system teaches, to what churches teach and preach, if you think that the sacrifice that me and my wife have made, that we're going to allow our children to see any economic pain whatsoever, that's what Just Own It is. It's a message to these young people. So we're going to go back to the 90s. The beautiful thing about technology, I could do in 22 what in 1990 my father and them couldn't do in our generation. They couldn't sit us down and show us in the 60s and the 70s with videos and documented visuals of how individuals rigged the system in our communities against us. Nobody had the ability in the 70s and the 80s to sit us down as young people and be like, look, these was the pitfalls that they have rigged against us, and then show us, listen, I could sit my children down and show them every error, how individuals state so-called principles of the United States of America that are just talking points. They have never, ever, ever, ever shared resources equally. How can they say all men are created equal when they said a very specific group of people have white supremacy? How can they say all men are created equal and they say a very specific group reigns supreme? That don't even make sense, yo. But it wasn't until the internet came about and knowledge increased that we could sit down and we could show our children every generation where Europeans have tried to take what we, and exactly what Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad showed him. Don't fall for the system, bro. Get you a business plan. Get you 4 different categories. So we break our hood up in 4 categories. The employee, the self-employed business person, the medium-sized business enterprise. This is when you getting up to like having hundreds of employees and your business runs without you even being there. A doctor and a dentist and an attorney That's not a business. You self-employed. Because if you don't go and practice in your office, you don't get paid. That's not a business. That's not a business. A business is an entity that brings income in because you've built it properly to have cash flow, whether you're there or not. And the individuals there run the business because it is the amount of wealth flowing through the business that you created is greater than them going and being an employee somewhere. So the people would rather come and be a part of building a empire of wealth with you instead of going and working a job and punching a clock, because when they help you build wealth, you share the wealth. And the amount of wealth that you're willing to share is greater than any paycheck that they could get. It's called just own it. Instead of work study programs, you go to these jobs, they'll hire you and they'll pay for you to go to school, and they call it a work study program. So you work as you study to be a glorified employee. Nah, we got ownership study program, ownership study fellowships. Where we figure out how you can be an asset to the wealth building business that we establish it. And then you own the assets that you bring to the table. And then I cut you in on the wealth that's generated in that region, at that area, for the assets that you bring to the table, coupled with the assets and the resources that I'm investing in the area. I ain't never gonna show up. I ain't never gonna be there to look over your shoulder. But because I'm investing the resources and you bring assets to the table to help that business function in that region, in that area, I'm gonna cut you in on the wealth. And I guarantee you the wealth that flows through that business is gonna be greater than any employee salary at any of these worthless jobs. And then the top segment is an investor. Michael's Angels investor. And a true wealth is when you always have all four of those components reflected in your wealth building business plan. When you have individuals in every category and you're taking people who are employees and you're taking them through the process of going from employees to self-employed in your wealth building empire, to small business owners where you ain't got to be there to look over it, to them being Michael's Angels investors. That's what just own it is. It's a process. And we telling you that it don't matter what walk of life you come from. It don't matter what concrete jungle you from. Don't matter what background you from. It don't matter if you don't got no family. Don't matter nothing. We got a business plan that will match your talents that you have with the investments that we making in the area. And we guarantee you in 3 to 5 years, we guarantee you we could take anybody in the just own it ownership study fellowship, and a minimum, any and everybody, no matter if you ain't never go to school, if you don't never had no desires to go to school, we could take anybody in a minimum $10 million in your life in 3 to 5 years. No matter what, anybody, I don't care what your walk of life is, you could be homeless. I guarantee you We could take anybody from any walk of life, any concrete jungle, in any urban environment, and in less than 5 years, take them through all four stages of the Just Own It 4D seasons, 4D wealth building seasons. Employee, self-employed, medium business owner, Michael's Angels investor. I dare you, I dare you to come out. I dare you to take this challenge. So, starting on July the 6th, we're going to have a 90-day game plan up until October the 6th. And just to prove, our goal is to have groups all over the country take a 90-day challenge. And in 90 days, from July the 6th to October the 6th, we trying to create 16 million individuals who would touch their very first $1 million. And we want 16 million individuals in the United States of America to see their first $1 million in this 90-day run. I challenge you. Sign up. Once you sign up, we're going to put you on a wealth building, Just Own It, ownership study fellowship team for 90 days. This is a combine, it's a trial to see if you got what it takes to make the team and get one of these 5-year, $10 million business plans. We give any and everybody a shot to make the team. The 90-day game plan is the shot to make the team. In October, the best people in the 90-day game plan, we're going to put you on the teams in the various areas. We're going to make investments, and then we're going to allow y'all to build wealth, adding your talents to the investments that we make in the areas where you live. And once we form a team, from October the 6th all the way till July of next year, we're going to open the gates back up in 2023. We're going to see, do another 90-day game plan and see if if the next crop, if the next graduation class, if the next wealth building class got what it take to make the team. So this is going to be an annual 90-day game plan. It's like the combine. When you try and go make the NFL, you trying to make the Just Own It fellowship team, the Just Own It. All right. So every day at 5 o'clock, between now and July the 6th, we're going to open it up for 16 million individuals. 16 million individuals. Why 16 million individuals? Because from 2011 to present day, the upper income Black and white folks in the United States of America every year have been creating hundreds of thousands of brand new millionaires in a brand new digital economy. They have a new internet. They have new banking. They have new lending. It's called DeFi, digital finance. There's a whole new economy. There's a whole new Wall Street. There's a whole new stock exchange. There's a whole new internet. There's a whole new set of banks. There's a whole new set of Warren Buffett's being created, right? Every year. And every year they document how many brand new millionaires they created. And from 2011, I've been going to our communities, trying to get our people. So we not talking about it no more. We gonna give y'all an invitation, and then those that respond, we're gonna show them that there is no economy that we can't dominate in. So if they got a new internet, if they got a new banking system, if they got a new Wall Street, we're gonna take our children and our grandchildren of tomorrow, and we're gonna make them the best investors in this new economy. So why 16 million this year? Because when I added up all of the people between 2011 and present day, they right around 4 million people. They got right around 4 million brand new millionaires that have declared, that have stated publicly that they created this is brand new millionaires. So if they created 4 million, we trying to create 16 million in 1 year to make the statement that we own this new economy. We're going to dominate this new economy too. So if you want to be a part of that 16 million people that make their very first million, and then has an opportunity after his 90-day game plan on October the 6th to meet us in Atlantic City and join the permanent team and get a 5-year business plan to make $10 million. Then click the links that you see on my page. Just let me know. Yo, sign me up for Just Own It You. Sign me up for the 90-day hate waste fast. Sign me up for the 90-day trial. That's it. Every day, it's an invitation. Just like somebody when listen, when my wife and I we was ready to renew our vows, we sent out the invitation. This is simply an invitation to join our wedding party of wealth building. That's it. Ain't no pressure, ain't no solicitation. This is an invitation, not a solicitation. You could take advantage or not. 16 million brand new millionaires. To the young people, if y'all don't take advantage of this opportunity right now, people like Robert Kiyosaki is not going to come along and teach you what the world won't teach you. People like myself are not going to come along. If you don't take advantage of this opportunity, they are creating the income inequality wealth gaps for my children and my grandchildren's generation, so that the cycles of poverty will be locked in place for another 400 years. And right now you have an opportunity to go take as much wealth and erase all income inequality gaps. You got right now the same opportunity that they got in a brand new economy. It's the wild, wild west of wealth right now. And we challenging y'all to just own it.